Hello? Ready, yes. Should I put it on speaker? How does it work? Hello? Jake? Should I put it on speaker? I'll hear it? Yeah? Okay. Okay. Well, it's the shoe, it's not so. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to be in the video, keep going this way. It's live work. Make sure that it's working.
Okay. So I think we're all here because we know the situation that's going on in Israel with the 3 teens who have been abducted. It's of course a very, very difficult situation. And on some level, knowing the situation, it's actually very hard for me to be up here speaking because I say Baruch Hashem, I can't relate to it. I've never been in such a situation. And I can't say that I'm up here to try to relate to you exactly what people are going through, because I can't. I went to yeshiva down the road, right around the corner from where this happened. I went to yeshiva with students, of my classmates and students, had friends, family members who have been in similar situations. And I still can't really relate it to you. It's just, it's that tough. It's something that we can't, again, Baruch Hashem, we can't relate to. But what I'd like to do, therefore, is actually discuss a little bit what we're going to be doing here tonight in terms of davening and tefillah, and what we're going to try to accomplish, and hopefully relate it as much as possible to what is going on. In terms of how we reflect in tefillah, I think there are actually, this is going to come off a little bit negative, but I think there are 2 main reasons why people actually have trouble having kavanah during davening. And I'm going to start with the second one first, because the first one's actually more important. The second one is that sometimes really people care, they want to get something done, and they want to accomplish something. But sometimes we think, what's the point? I davened Hashem. Okay, he hears me, he doesn't hear me. What am I accomplishing? Whatever Hashem wants to do, he's going to do. Right? If it's the right thing, and maybe I don't understand, but if the right thing is this, he's going to do that. If the right thing is something else, he's going to do that. What's the point of my tefillah? Like, can we really change God's mind? And in a brief answer, I'd like to say that our goal is not necessarily to change God's mind or to affect God, but that there is a very strong point in tefillah. And that point is really showing Hashem how much we care. Showing how much we care. If you care about something, you do something about it. That's all there is to it. If you don't do anything about it, it shows you don't really care. when it comes to tefillah, even on some level, we're confronting God. It says by Yaakov, it says Vayifga b'makamahu. Vayifga. Vayifga means a meeting, an encounter, but even sometimes it's a meeting of strength. We're making demands. And who are we to make demands of Hashem? We're making demands because we care. On some level, we're saying, Hashem, I don't care what you think, because this is what I think. I'm demanding Hashem return these boys. That's what's going through my mind when I daven. Hashem, you have to return these boys. Now, who am I to make such demands? We have, in Devarim, which we're going to read in the summer, in Parshas V'eschanan, when Moshe davens to go into Eretz Yisrael, so it says V'eschanan. It's another word for tefillah also. Tachanunim, supplications. And there Rashi says that Moshe's attitude when he was davening was that, of course, he was on some level demanding of Hashem that he could go into Eretz Yisrael, but that his attitude was, Hashem, whatever your decision is, I accept. I recognize that if you let me go into Israel, it's, Rashi says, bichinam, it's free. You're giving me a free gift. It almost seems like it's a contradiction. On some level, we're making a demand. On the other hand, we recognize that that demand is a gift. We're not entitled to make demands. It's not Hashem, I did this for you, right? Sometimes we say, like, I gave tzedakah, I davened, I did what I can, and therefore Hashem, you owe me. Hashem doesn't owe us anything. But we make demands because it's that important to us. Because we care that much, and therefore we make demands. But we recognize and we accept whatever Hashem decides, He decides. And we have to accept it. But we also have to make the demands. Because if we don't make the demands, then it shows that it's not important to us. We're only humans, so therefore we speak on a human level, and humans make demands. So that's what we do. We're going to make demands. We have to. So that's the second step. When we're davening, what are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? Hashem, we care. You know, sometimes I know with my own children, my students, sometimes I'll say one thing. You know, let's say with students, I give a test, I give homework, or I do something that they don't like so much. So they try to argue back for me to do something else. And there's two ways that I get convinced. One of them is that they point something out that I didn't previously know. Right? It's very much possible. Right? Reb Noam, you know, this is such and such reason, maybe it makes more sense if you do it this way. And I said, oh, what? I didn't think of that before, now I see it. You know, you're right, let's change the approach a little bit. The other one is that I might still think that they're wrong, I might still think that I'm right, but I see how important something is to them. Right? The kids really want to learn outside today. And I think that actually our learning will be better if we learn inside. But they want to go outside to learn, and I see how important today it is for them, and therefore, actually, their learning might be better. Even though I don't think it's the best environment, but because it's so much on their mind, it actually does, it makes an impression on me. Now, the first one that I said, in terms of actually changing my perspective, so I think I don't know if it's possible to do that with Hashem, because Hashem already knows every perspective. But we can make an impression. I'm not going to give God information that He doesn't already know. But I could show Him something about myself that I didn't necessarily already know. What are we showing to ourselves? And therefore, what are we showing to Hashem? That's tefillah. We care. We have to do something. If we could do something physically, we should. And actually, if I think there might be those, or if anybody wants to bring up here, collecting tzedakah, tzedakah is an act that might merit some type of redemption. Tefillah is something that we're going to do. If there's something technically that you really can do to somehow bring these boys home, you have to do it. But if we know that it's tough for us to do things from here, so the most we can do is daven. And if that's what we can do, then we have to do it. If you don't do that, then you're a bystander. If the most you can do is daven, then that is what you have to do. It's tefillah. And the second thing, which I think is really the first thing that sometimes holds people back from having proper kavanah, is exactly right now what I'm talking about, is sometimes we don't care, which is the bigger tragedy. And I'm not saying this to anybody specific here, I'm actually already speaking to myself. Friday night, after I had already heard about this, I'm sorry to say, I slept like a baby. I had an amazing sleep Friday night. It wasn't on my mind. Shabbos afternoon, I took a nap. I had no trouble falling asleep. Last night, I went to sleep, I had no trouble. Today, this morning actually, I took my kids out, we went hiking a little bit, I was tired when I went home, the kids fell asleep. I was on the couch, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll close my eyes a little bit. It was hard for me to fall asleep, I was thinking about this, only because Rabbi Alter asked me to speak. So I was thinking, what should I say, what should we be talking about? I'm so far off from this that I didn't care enough that I had the havamina, I had the thought to take a nap this afternoon. What does that say about my relation to what's going on? It's so hard to relate. It's so hard to connect. But the fact that we're here tonight shows that we do care, that we do connect, and that we want something to happen. And we have to internalize what people are going through. And the question is, how do we do that? And I think that what we have to do is bring it close to home. And it's an uncomfortable thing to do. It's an uncomfortable thing to say, you know what if, and I'm going to throw this out there, right? What if it was my own child? I was playing with my children today, and I thought, what if I didn't have my children today to play with? What if I didn't have my kids? What if they were abducted? Right? What if those 3 boys were my boys? What if the three boys were my little brothers? What if they were my closest friends? And that is how we have to view them. And that's what Netanyahu said. He said, those boys are our boys. They're our sons. 3 of my own sons, 3 of my own little brothers got abducted, and we have to bring them home. And the way that we can do that here, at least, is tefillah. And like I said, it's uncomfortable, but davening, I know sometimes we think, you go to davening on Shabbos, we socialize, we see our friends, we see our family, I like to sit next to my closest friends, my family, schmooze a little bit. That's not what davening is about. Tefillah is about taking ourselves out of our comfort zone. We have to break ourselves. That's tefillah. To the point that when you daven, it's not necessarily about sounding nice, but it's just about calling out the way you feel. And the way you feel has to be real. It has to be real. Do we really care? That's why we're here. We care. And we have to sound like we care. And you know, that's the most beautiful tefillah. When somebody davens and they really care, that is the most beautiful tefillah. I think we all know that. But when we're calling out Tehillim tonight, we have to be screaming out. From the depths. Are we calling out from the depths? My 3 little brothers were taken. We have to bring them home. It says in Mishnah and Sanhedrin that Adam Harishon was created as one person. That there was only, as opposed to God creating an entire nation. God only created one person to show that if you save one life, it's like you saved an entire world. And the Mishnah goes on to show that every single person is a world unto him or herself. And I know that when I look at my own kids, right, I think that it would be a tragedy for my own child to not be in the world anymore. Why? Because I know my child is unique. When I look at my child, I see a world. There are 3 worlds right now that are in a very tough situation. We don't know exactly where they are. They're lost from their families. They don't know that their mothers, their siblings don't know where they are. There are 3 worlds. We have to recognize that. These kids are worlds. If I really viewed these guys as my little brothers, as my sons, and lost them, I would be losing a world. We have to be thinking of it in that sense. We're losing worlds. And I think that we take those 2 things. We recognize that we have to care, and tefillah is our way of showing that we care. That is, Kol Yisrael Revim Zelazeh. It is not just that we're here to show that we care, it is our responsibility to be here. It is our responsibility to have these boys on our minds. And I regret my Shabbos nap this past week because they weren't on my mind. And often we view guilt as a negative thing, but here I think it's okay. It's okay for me to feel guilty about it because it's that important. And again, as I'm saying this, it's coming into my mind how real this has to be. We have to imagine it, no matter how hard that is. Imagine your loved one taken away from you. I know people that on Tisha B'Av they try to imagine the Beis Hamikdash burning down. They try to imagine their own home getting burnt down. It's very uncomfortable, but we have to be uncomfortable. We're not here to be comfortable. We're not here to have fun. We're not here to smile. We're here to care and to make something happen and to show that we care and to be unified with everyone in Israel, because in Israel it is an entire nation of people who are davening for these boys. On Friday night, there was a tefillah, there was a Tehillim recital at the Kotel at 11:30 at night. One for half an hour at 12, and at 12 o'clock everybody stayed. I can't say everybody, but many people stayed at 12 o'clock to daven more because they couldn't leave. How could I possibly leave? They're not back yet. We have to keep on davening, and that's what we're going to be doing here. So as we say each word, let's make sure to have kavanah on every single word and have these boys on our minds while we're here tonight. After we leave, they should stay on our minds, and we have to go on with life, but they should be constantly on our minds in life. Taking the mandatory tefillahs tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, all day until they come back. And we have to keep faith that they will come back. And I don't want to talk about it if they don't. That's not what we're here for right now. But do whatever we can to make them come home. And right now, that's tefillah. So let's have tons of kavanah and bring our sons and our little brothers home.
We'll announce page numbers if you have the art scroll, the black art scroll. We're going to say 6 chapters of Tehillim, starting with Perek Gimel, chapter 3, which is on page 995. Chapter 3 on page 995.
Rabim Kamim Aloi Rabim Omrim Lanashi Ein Yeshua Salam Elohim Salam Rabim Omrim Lanashi Ein Yeshua Salam Vodi Umerim Roshi Vayani Mehar Kacho Selah Ishakati Vishana Akitzosi Yadona Yismecheni Ani Shashati Asher Saviv Shatsu Alai Adonai Yoshieni Elohai Ki Kisa Eskoloi Vailechi Shnei Rishayim Shibarta We're
going to say chapter 120, Kuf Chaf 120, can be found on page 1032 at the bottom. Chapter 120 on page 1032.
Shira Malos El Adonai Vatsaros Ali Karasi Vayanei
Shira Malos El Adonai Vatsaros
Ali Hatzila Nachi Misa Sheker Mila Shah Rimiyah ומה יוסיף לך לשון רבייה. חיצי גיבור שנונים, אם וחלי רסמים.
חיצי גיבור שנונים, אם וחלי רסמים. גרתי משך, שכנתי מעלי קידר. אוי אוי, גרתי משך, שכנתי
אשך נלך נפשי, עם שונאי שלום.
רבה אשך נלך נפשי, עם שונאי שלום.
שלום. וכי אדבר המה למלחמה.
We'll say chapter 121 on page 1033. Chapter 121, Kuf Chaf Aleph.
שיר למעלות, אשא עיני אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי.
שיר למעלות, אשא עיני אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי.
עם אדוני עושה שמיים וארץ. לעמוד רגליך, אל ינום שומרך. ולא יישן שומר ישראל. אדוני צלך על יד ימינך. וירח בלילה. ישמרך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. ישמור צאתך ובואך, ביתו ביד עולם.
Chapter 130 on page 1034. Chapter 130, Kuf Lamed.
שיר המעלות, ממעמקים, כרסים אדוני. שיר המעלות, ממעמקים, כרסים אדוני. שכינה בקולי, תהיינה אוזניך קשובות לכל התמנונות. Adonai Niyamo. Adonai Kisanachi. Deliver all faulty. Adonai Shamim Laboker, Shamim Laboker. El Adonai, Kim Adonai HaChesed Varei Mofidu. Yivdas Yisrael
We're going to move now to 142. Two of the two younger children who were kidnapped are students in Rav Steinsaltz's yeshiva, and he specifically asked that people recite 142 and 143, so we'll end with those two. So 142 is on page 1036. That's Kuf Mem Bet on page 1036.
Holy El Adonai, yes I know. Zarasi lefanav agi.
Zarasi lefanav agi.
Balai ruchi. Yata yata nesivasi. Orachzu ahalech. Zamdu rakli. Avan manos mimani, ein doresh l'nafshi. Eilecha Adonai, amarti atamachzi, chelki b'eretz hachayim. Shiva el rinasi, ki dalosi biod, atzileni mirod fa, ki amsu mimani.
Shiva el rinasi, ki dalosi biod, atzileni mirod fa, ki amsu mimani.
Hosea v'matzgir nafshi l'hodos et shemecha v'yachtiru tzadikim ki sigmol alai.
Chapter 143 on page 1037. 143. Kuf Mem Bet.
Adonai ishma tfilati, azino el tachanunai, be'munascha alini b'tzidkasecha. Ki lo yiftach lefanecha kol chai. Iradav oyev nashi, tikol oretz chayasi, oshivani v'machashakim k'meisei olam. Agisi v'chol chalecha, v'maseh yadecha asofeya. Masdi yadi elecha, nashi keret ha'yicholecha, Selah. Aher aneni Adonai kol saruti. Al taster panecha mimeni v'nimshalti im your devar. Hashmi'eni v'boker chastecha ki v'cha v'tachti Hodi'eni derech zu eleich elecha nasasi nafshi. Lasos v'tonecha ki ata Elohai ruchacha tova tanchini v'eretz rishon. Adonai tefayeni B'tzidkas chatosi mitzara nafshi. Asnecha tatmi soivai V'havadita kol sorei nafshi Ki ani adecha.
Misha Berach Avosenu Avram Yitzchak Yaakov Yosef Moshe Avraham David Shlomo Hu Yivarach V'Yishmar V'Yinsar Es Nedarei Yisrael V'Ashruim B'Soch Shar Achenu Beis Yisrael Hanesunim Etzara V'Shivya Bavur She'Kahal Mispalel Bavuram Hagadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem Yosiem Mechoshech Etzal Mabash Umosresehem Yenatek Tzukoseihem Yoshiem Yoshivem Meira Lechek Mishpuchoseihem Yadu Ladonai Chasto V'Niflosav L'Vnei Adam V'Kuyam Behem Mikrash Kasuv Ufdei Adonai Yeshuvun Uvao Tzion Birina B'Tzimchas Olam Al Rosham Sason V'Simcha Yasivu V'Nasu Yagon V'Anacha V'Nomar Amen. Okay, we'll continue now with Mincha and after everyone can change out.